So, good evening. I want to welcome you all to the can't believe it, sixth annual Diagnostic Medical Sonography Pinning Program and Ceremony. The students here on the stage have worked very hard to get here tonight. This honor is not only theirs, but those who share in their challenges to achieve these goals. Nan Russell summed it up best tonight when he stated, "Dreams can come true, but there is a secret. They are realized through the magic of persistence, determination, commitment, passion, practice, focus, and of course, hard work. This happens a step at a time, manifested over years and not weeks. It is the hard work over the past 2 years that we will acknowledge tonight and celebrate our students' success. I would like to introduce the members of the college and the sonography program. We have Dr. Frank Friedman, our president of Piedmont, Virginia Community College. Dr. John Donnelly, vice president for instruction and student services. Jean Chappelle, dean of health and life sciences. Peggy Bizjack, medical center manager at UVA and adjunct faculty here. Lisa Burrington, clinical coordinator for the Diagnostic Medical Sonography Program. Sylvia Dow, she is Association of Alumni coordinator. And I am Elaine Nichols, program director for the sonography program here at Piedmont Community College. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Frank Friedman as our first speaker.
Thank you, Elaine. My job tonight is pretty simple. One, to welcome you on behalf of our college board and our faculty and staff. And two, to tell you this is a celebration. You don't have to be quiet. You are encouraged to cheer, to yell, to whistle. Thank you. These graduates deserve it. This is a celebration, right? So let's start with a big round of applause. All right. Oh, that sounded really good. That's the way we want it. As Elaine said, this is the 6th graduating class, which means we've graduated now about 70 individuals into this demanding field. And I'll tell you, as somebody who lives here in this community and sometimes needs health care, it's great to know that these folks are going to be out there providing quality care for all of us, including me. Graduates, I do want to congratulate you, obviously. But not just for being here tonight, but for the decision you made several years ago. You decided to seek additional education and enter this program. I bet it was a difficult decision, wasn't it? Yeah. You had to ask yourself, should I stay with my current job? Should I prepare for something new? Can I actually afford this? How will it impact my family? Is it worth all the time, money, and effort? And here you are a few years later, and I certainly congratulate you for making that decision and having the courage to make that decision. Now you're in a position to reap all the benefits. The extrinsic benefits include a better job, a higher salary. You know, educated individuals tend to live longer, healthier, happier lives. But just important are the intrinsic benefits. I hope you have pride in your accomplishment. I hope you have the self-esteem, the confidence based on this accomplishment. And you also have a better understanding of other people and of yourself. You've gained all of these benefits due to your decision to enter the program. So I ask you one more time, was it worth the time, effort, and money? I hope your answer is yes. And I hope that all of your future choices are as good as the one that brought you here today. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Friedman. Please join me in welcoming our next speaker, Dr. Jean Chappelle.
On behalf of the faculty and staff of PVCC, I also want to add my voice to the chorus of congratulations on your success. Boy, what a success this is. All together now, breathe. What a relief. I know for many of you, this is quite a journey, and it has not been without struggles. Some of you are single parents. Some of you have worked the entire time while you were going to school. Some had unexpected illnesses or family emergencies that took away a lot of your time. But nonetheless, you're here, a success. You made it. And for that, you should be proud. We have all heard the expression, it takes a village. Well, in this case, it is really very, very true. Your village community is certainly comprised of your family, your friends, co-workers, all those individuals that supported you in your journey, listened to your cries and wiped away your tears, your co-workers that listened to the complaints, and your colleagues, your friends, your classmates that helped you study. However, you may not be aware of some of the other members of your village community that are here at Piedmont that work quietly behind the scenes. You know, of course, Elaine and Lisa, who work tirelessly, I can tell you. They're usually here in the morning before I get in, and they're here way after I leave. But there's others at Piedmont that you may not be aware of, folks like our registrar, Allison Ray, or our financial aid director, Crystal Ogden-Flyer. These folks work quietly along with the advisors and the counselors to set the stage for your success. This village is comprised of a lot of folks at Piedmont who care about you, not just as a graduate, but as an individual, because your success really is our success. There is an African saying that goes something like this: many small people in many small places doing many small things can change the world. These are certainly not small people, but the great impact they have on your lives through their dedication has made a positive impact and a very personal impact on your goals. Now it's your turn. Healthcare is, above all, a service occupation. We go into healthcare fields because we want to help and serve people, our community, or our world. The many small changes each of you make to make these great things happen. As you move from student to professional, reflect on how making just one small change can change the world, maybe just your neighborhood, or maybe just your workspace, to be a much better place to be. As healthcare professionals, you already know the truth of what Albert Einstein said over 50 years ago. Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile. Congratulations again on the end of your journey and the beginning of a new one. Most of all, thank you for choosing us to be part of that journey.
Thank you, Jean. I'd like to introduce our next speakers. These are students. These are the graduating sonography students, Najib and Therese.
It's my hope that this humble speech is not construed as a contrived and affected emotional exercise, but understood as a genuine expression of gratitude for the past and hope for the future. I started this endeavor 4 years ago, and it has been 4 years of hard work and anticipation interspersed with moments of elation and relief. There are a lot of things we have learned in the past 2 or 4 years. We learn about the abstruse physics of sound and how it can be manipulated and utilized for healing. We learned a lot of anatomy and physiology, memorized hundreds of diseases and how to differentiate between them. And for me, the past 2 years especially served to enlighten about ideas greater than academics. Admittedly, when I first started this course, working with patients was a means to an end. The objective was to learn. And although the idea of compassion was not an alien construct to me prior to my experiences with people in their moments of grief and personal trials, these experiences brought me face to face with how fragile a human being can truly become. I'm not exactly sure when it happened, but at some point, a singular transformative experience took place. A profound notion of compassion overwhelmed to whatever selfish desire I may have harbored, and that became the objective. The idea of patience, compassion, and caring were redefined and nurtured with each vulnerable and frail patient I was fortunate enough to work with. I realized that healthcare is not a career, but a calling. But beyond the confines of a hospital or clinic, I believe these clinical experiences have brought a positive change in my own personal life. I learned to see and appreciate the manifold dynamics that define our lives: strength, courage, celebration, life, but also grief, sorrow, and unfortunately death. I have become more grateful for my good days and learned to persevere in my bad ones. And sadly for me, there were a few but life-changing bad ones. I was touched by moments of personal tragedy where the idea of quitting the program became a tempting mechanism of survival. However, that is when I allowed that same rekindled sense of compassion to also reach me and realized that I had worked too hard and given too much of myself to the program, which by now was no longer a mere program, but a complete dedication and commitment to the idea of caring. My presence here today, having accomplished what I set out 4 years ago, is a testament to the strength of human will, but it's also due to my reliance on the idea that no matter what happens, Elaine and Lisa will go to great lengths to make sure that my years of hard work come to fruition. I want to take a minute or so to thank our wonderful instructors, Elaine and Lisa. And for the past 2 years, I'm sure we all compare and contrasted Elaine and Lisa in our own ways throughout the past 2 years. Elaine was always the amiable, flexible, and sometimes generous who went above and beyond what was expected of her to see her students succeed. She kept our success far ahead of protocol, formalities, and legalisms. She allowed us to have moments of levity in an otherwise very difficult program. Lisa was the quiet, observant, and sometimes stern instructor who reminded us that our success primarily depends on our own intellectual, personal, and professional aptitude. In the end, I realized that they both served important roles and functions and were a great balancing act to keep us in line. I'm grateful for their selfless and patient dedication to our success, and I hope they remain a team for many years to come. Thank you.
And I would like to echo Najib's expression of gratitude to Elaine and Lisa. So the first day of class, Elaine told us that throughout the entirety of our program, she could prove to either be our greatest cheerleader or our worst nightmare. For 2 years, I have been terrified of the day when she might become my worst nightmare. Luckily, that day hasn't come yet. Our greatest cheerleader. These past 2 years have been the most intense and jam-packed years I ever hoped to see. My classmates and I have learned the ins and outs of ultrasound physics, which I don't recommend. We have learned the systems of the human body and everything that can go wrong with them. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. We have also seen the insides of more hospitals than we ever wanted to, and have woken up far earlier than should be allowed in order to get there on time. And for some of us, those sacrifices went even further, with significant others and children waiting at home. But Elaine and Lisa, our greatest cheerleaders, have seen us through it all. They have given us the tools we needed, and were always at the ready with a life preserver in case we needed saving. Just as good teachers should, they pushed us out into the deep end, knowing that we would succeed even before we knew it for ourselves. Our worst nightmare. From day one, Elaine stressed the importance of professionalism when it came to working with patients in the medical field. And the reason she threatened to become our worst nightmare was because if we were ever to act as anything less than professional, I'm sure she would come find us and set us straight. To help us become dedicated and compassionate sonographers was continuously her and Lisa's #1 priority. Will we always treat our patients and our supervisors with the respect they deserve? Will we always say thank you to our patients for allowing a fumbling student to practice scanning on them? Will we always keep the patient's best interest in mind? And at the end of it all, will we play our part trying to save lives? These are the priorities we learned from Elaine and Lisa as our primary instructors during these past 2 years. Speaking on behalf of my entire class, I truly believe that we could not have been placed in more capable hands. I am amazed at what we have been able to learn in the short span of 2 years, and it was only possible because of the time and effort invested in us by Elaine and Lisa. They are incredibly hardworking, and I'm pretty sure they don't have time to sleep. But in addition to them, we were also well taken care of by our OBGYN instructor, Peggy Bizjack, and her assistant instructor, Elisa Hutchinson. The four of them together continually show us what it means to fulfill our calling to be the best diagnostic medical sonographers we can possibly be. With that, this is the part of the program where I told Elaine that she should go with the flow, and her rebellious students are going to hijack the ceremony. So if Elaine and Lisa and Peggy and Allie, if she's here, come to the front. And our class would like to present you with some gifts to say thank you for all your hard work. Is Allie here? Okay, someone want to come up and bring flowers for her? So we have some flowers for all of them. And Mary's gonna take flowers for Allie for us. And we have some cards. We also have some gifts for Elaine and Lisa, and we have a plaque that to dedicate and an award. It's an award.
Oh, nice. Very good.
These are for the cake. Okay. And we also have flowers for one of our classmates' aunt who made all the cakes for us that we will enjoy at the end. But you don't have to come up on stage. It's okay.
Thank you. We're very appreciative of that. Thank you so much. I'm going to introduce our next speaker. She was nominated to speak by the students, and I'm very happy that she accepted, even though she played a mean trick on me earlier today. Miss Peggy Bizjack.
All right, good evening, everyone. And most importantly, congratulations to the 2017 sonography program graduating class. Wahoo! And you did it. That's where I need you. Come on. So this evening, I'd like to speak to you about the acronym PPE. No, it's not the personal protective equipment that you put on when working with an isolation patient. Although you will don that yellow gown and mask lots of times in your career. The PPE that I'm referring to is perspective, persistence, and empowerment. And in many ways, you will also don that PPE acronym with every encounter that you have, especially with your patients who you will come to know and care for, as well as your coworkers. Perspective is powerful. The way you look at something affects the way you feel and the way you act. And you know, it's something that we can completely control, whether you acknowledge it or not. It does affect our daily lives, so what you look for, you will find. Be aware of your current perspective. Is it positive, or does it need a little tweaking? So we sometimes pick up a perspective early in our lives, and often we don't check to see if it still works for us when we're adults. If you want a more positive experience, then choose a more positive perspective. This may involve a huge change for us, and sometimes you vacillate back and forth, but remember, your new perspective will take and hold on to you, and eventually you will start experiencing very good changes in your life, positive changes. You need to cultivate patience with yourself and others, and you will see a different side of you and look at this perspective in relations to dealing with your patient population in our hospitals, imaging centers, and even in nursing homes. Help others, serve others. When you enter your scan room, remember you're encountering a person who may be in a great deal of pain, or someone who does not even understand why he or she is there. Reach out, extend a hand, offer help, which in turn offers you the chance to step out of yourself and understand more about others and their needs, not just your own. Embrace other points of view, see a different side of a story, because you can all benefit from listening and considering other points of view, even if you don't agree. This can give a chance to listen and consider where the other person is coming from. Live in the moment. I know, I've even been stuck, and as you get older, it gets even worse, how your mind wanders when there's lots of things grabbing your attention. But remember, multitasking does have its advantages in certain situations, but when someone requires your full attention, that's when you should need to pay attention, and that's usually with your patient. Life is uncertain, of course. It can be a bit uncomfortable, especially at a crossroads where you all are now. Just graduating, accepting a new job, transitioning into a new phase of your life, but gaining perspective is the key. It often makes the difference between resisting or accepting the new changes that are happening in your life. I encourage you to embrace these changes fully. So let's now consider the second letter in PPE, which is another P, which is persistence. Your persistence as students paid off by keeping up with the challenges of the program and the unique part that each of you played in this class. Your clinical rotations provided some interesting challenges, like learning how to scan, how to even hold a transducer, and the art, and it is an art, of creating the image that you desire for the reading that the radiologist or sonologist will need. You learned how to do this successfully. Your persistence paid off. You may not even have realized all that has happened to you over the last few months, or several months, I'm sorry, which taught you some real life lessons, such as anything worth doing is worth doing well. No matter what was thrown in your path, you caught it and you made it work. Setbacks did not derail you, and you have finally arrived. As you move forward in your career, no matter what happens, there is one lesson you can take from all of this: your persistence paid. The last part of the acronym I began with is E for empowerment. Right now, you should be focusing on the positive attributes that will affect the quality of you and your scans and all the progress of your growth. Often we as leaders sometimes haven't done enough to empower you, but that will be an essential part of your success in this ever-changing and challenging field of medicine. So here are some tips I'd like to suggest that you consider. First of all, learn and build your skills. Find a mentor, that's very important. Join an organization like the Society of Diagnostic Medical Sonographers, or even from a state and regional plan, the VSU, which is the Virginia Society of Ultrasound. Speak highly of your profession because it is your chosen profession. Foster open communication in your work life and establish good relationships. Maintain accountability for yourself and your team. Smile. Smile, smile, smile. Work very hard. You're used to that, and I'm sure that will continue. Leave drama alone. Most importantly, love what you do. Make it a career, not just a job. And remember, as a motivational speaker that I heard once, his name was Jay Danzy, your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after having an experience with you becomes your trademark. Be your own CEO. You are the chief encouragement officer, you're your own experience officer, you're your own chief excellence officer, you're your own chief excitement officer, and you're your own chief example officer. So be the best CEO you know. To this, I welcome you to the ultrasound community of sonographers, sonologists, radiologists, and instructors, teachers, and even the patients that you will meet, work with, come to care about, and help to heal. My best wishes to you as you embark on this new journey of hope, learning, and of challenge. You can do this. Look how far you've come and what wonderful things lie ahead of you in this profession. And I want to thank you for allowing me the privilege of speaking to you on this important evening in your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peggy. We're going to talk about the significance of the pen. To simply state what the significance of the pen represents, it is the rite of passage from a student of sonography to a professional sonographer. We look back at their journey and how they got here tonight. In the beginning of the program, the students could not believe the quantity of information that they must know in order to prepare for the job at hand. Now they can discuss disease processes, signs, symptoms, irregular lab values, and quantify the processes and tell you some of the treatment options for the patients with these diseases. In the beginning, they cringed at the word physics, but they have all passed their physics boards. In the beginning, they would say, "What do you see in that picture?" And now they can describe in detail what they all see in the picture and know what pictures to take and how to maximize the exam for the patient outcome. It is truly amazing what they have learned and accomplished in such a short time. However, I emphasize this is not the end of your learning. For everyone in medicine knows medicine is forever changing, forever growing, and you will have a lifetime of education ahead of you. This pinning ceremony lets our community know that you are up for these challenges. You are up to fulfill those of your career. You are committed to your profession, to your patients, to your coworkers. It signifies that you are a professional and a role model to future sonographers. It validates that you understand the significance of the ethics and values within the profession, and you will uphold them in the future. This pinning represents a stepping stone into the profession of sonography, and I congratulate you on making it to today's events. I asked Lisa Burrington, our clinical coordinator, to come forward, and we will pin our graduates.
Well, you've all come a long way, and you should be proud, and I'm very proud of all of you. I know that Elaine and I are very confident that you're going to make wonderful sonographers. The students were asked to write a dedication, so as I call your name, if you could come up for Elaine to pin you, and at the same time, I'm going to read the dedication they wrote. Adriana Antizana. Adriana wrote, "Trying to find the words to express the love and gratitude to all who have supported, encouraged, and sometimes tolerated me on my journey to become a sonographer is an overwhelming task. First, I want to thank my parents for their support and for always reminding me education is important. I would also like to thank my family, my friends, and my in-laws for their kind words and support in my school. And Andrew, thank you for keeping me motivated and helping me take study breaks when I needed it most. But truly, I couldn't have succeeded without my professors and all the clinical sonographers. The only way I can truly show you how much I appreciate all you have given is to pass it on to future students. Heidi Darley. Justin and Tanner, thank you for your unending support, understanding, and patience. Family and friends, thank you for your encouragement. Elaine and Lisa, you helped me stop second-guessing myself and do my best. Classmates, thanks for putting up with me on this long and at times overwhelming journey. We made it. Sarah King. I want to thank my family for their financial and emotional support throughout the program. I also want to thank my boyfriend Nick for his encouragement and his constant reminders to believe in myself. I am so thankful for their love during this journey in my life. Therese Lafleur. Therese thanks her family and friends for their spiritual, emotional, and financial support. She also expresses deepest gratitude to her educators who encouraged her and modeled the integrity that is core to the diagnostic medical sonography profession. Susan Matthew. Susan says, I would first like to thank my family and my fiance for their support and encouragement throughout this program. I love you all, and I would not be the person I am today without you. I would also like to thank all of my clinical instructors for everything they have taught me. Laura Messenger. Laura says, I would like to thank my family for their help and support, my son for allowing me to study and for not throwing a fit when I was out of town for clinicals, my boyfriend and his parents for all their help and support. Also, Elaine, thank you for all of your help and understanding. Chelsea Miller. Chelsea wants to thank her husband for his support throughout this grueling journey and her kids for understanding when Mommy needed to study. She wants to thank her mom and dad for their financial support and helping take care of the kids. I would not have made it without them. Najib Sakizad. I would like to thank PVCC for providing an accessible, exceptional, and all-around great institution for learning. Without PVCC's wonderful scholarship program, I would not be standing here tonight. I'd like to thank Elaine and Lisa for going above and beyond to ensure our academic and professional success. I'd like to thank my family for the physical, emotional, and spiritual support. Without you, I would not be able to make it this far. Thank you. Abby Whitlock. I want to thank my mom, my family, Taylor, and Mary Jane for staying by my side even when I wasn't always available. This year and a half has been hard emotionally and mentally, and I could not have done it without all of your support. We have two students that could not be here tonight. Rachel Nelson is one of our graduates, and also Laura Popov. Laura wrote a dedication that I'll read. She says, I would like to thank my husband for always being supportive in every way imaginable, and our dog for never allowing me to do my homework with a cold lap. I would also like to thank my parents for always being there for me and instilling in me compassion and a great work ethic. I would like to thank my sister for all the emergency late-night physics calls, and her family, my brother, my in-laws, and friends for being awesome. I would like to thank all of my clinical instructors for their tips and tricks, and Elaine and Lisa for being so patient and understanding, sharing your knowledge and experience, and pushing me to be my best and being so flexible for my crazy circumstances. Finally, I would like to thank God. With Him, all things are possible.
There is a saying, it does take a village to raise a child. We believe that it takes a community to teach a sonographer. I want to acknowledge all the clinical instructors and sonographers that are present at our pinning ceremony. I want to personally thank you for the time you spent with our students. Our students could not be here today without you guys, so thank you so much. We have some truly extraordinary sonographers in our profession, too many to recognize individually. Every year we want to acknowledge the sonographers within our community that gone above and beyond with our students. I had our students nominate that sonographer, and this year's choice of the graduating class of 2017 is Max Jackson, former Kirby Award recipient, class of 2013. Is Max here? No? Okay. We'll move on. I also want to thank Peggy Bizjack.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you for not only giving the speech, but being a shoulder to call upon.
Oh, you are more than welcome for that. My goodness, how many times have we talked on the phone?
Definitely. I also want to celebrate our Kirby Award recipient for the class of 2017, and I have a certificate for you. Miss Susan Matthew, come forward. So, in closing, I just have a few words for the students. This next year is going to be a difficult one for you. We are taking away your safety net, and we're letting you fly away. Remember the semester you started going to clinicals 3 days a week? It's going to be that hard. It's going to be that tough. You're going to be mentally and physically exhausted. You're going to want to quit. I've told you in the past, winners never quit and quitters never win. Advice given to me by one of my favorite teachers. Tonight, I would like to leave you with a little message or a poem that I adore. This is by John Whitaker. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh. When all is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you never tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems far. So stick to the fight when you're hit the hardest. It's when things go wrong that you must not quit. I want to thank you all for coming tonight and congratulations to the graduates. I want to invite everyone around. If you go up to the steps and go around to the back, there is a reception area. We have some goodies if you'd like to participate. And with that, good night.